புரியுங்களா சார்? Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we'll start with the session. For 15 marks, normally how much time you'll get?
10 minutes.
What was the time given? 10 minutes. Okay. And for the 10 marks, it was like 6 minutes, right? 7 minutes. 7 or 6.
7 minutes.
7 to 8 minutes.
Okay. Okay, I'll give for 10 marks, you have 7 minutes. And for the 15 marks, I'll give 11 minutes. Okay. So your first question, explain the concept of plate tectonics. How does it explain the formation of Himalayas and Deccan Traps? It is 15 marks. You will get 11 minutes. Your time starts now. Last 1 minute. Okay, stop writing. Second question. What are the characteristics of landscape being developed by a river in its various stages? How do this landscape impact socio-economic life of the people? What are the characteristics of landscape being developed by a river in its various stages? How do
Right.
this landscape impact socio-economic life of the people? 15 marks, 11 minutes.
സർ എഴുതിയെടുക്കാൻ ഒരു 30 seconds തരാമോ?
Yeah, fine. Your time starts now. Last 1 minute. Okay, stop writing. Next question, give an account of distribution of grasslands across the world and their ecological utility. Note down the question, give an account of distribution of grassland across the world and their ecological utility. Fifteen marks, 11 minutes. Start writing. Your time starts now. Last 1 minute. Stop writing. And the last question. The ecological impact of excessive sand mining far outweighs the economic benefits. Discuss. It's a 10 marks question, 7 minutes. Stop writing. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can someone read the first question?
Explain the concept of plate tectonics and how does it explain the formation of Himalayas and Deccan Tract?
Okay. So what is the structure of the answer? So you've got, it's a 15 marks question. So question has actually got 3 parts. Okay. If it was 10 marks question, you would have actually what? The first part explain the concept of plate tectonics. This concept of plate tectonics can be written for 10 marks, 15 marks, 20 marks, 30 marks. Okay. So you have to, the challenge here is you need to allocate your word budget accordingly. So if you have like 15 marks question, if you have got 3 pages, you can actually, but here you have like 3 parts for the question. So 1 page for each question. Okay, but this 1 page explain the concept of plate tectonics. So while you're writing plate tectonics, 2 things you have to remember. You have to just write an introduction in the sense what I'm talking, like what in 1960s the most applicable theory explaining all the major endogenic activity outlined on the map of world came into being, and that particular theory we call it as plate tectonic. If you can just remember, mention like 2 or 3 geographers, that's good. Okay, you have like Tusa Wilson, Woolridge, then who else? Morgan,
Mackenzie.
Harry
Mackenzie.
Hess. Yeah. So any 2 geographers. So this is actually a contribution made by a range of geographers, not a single geographer. It's a range of geographers. Okay. Then you write about like what is this plate tectonic theory? What is plate? What is plate? Plate is actually a segment of lithosphere. The what I can say like solid part of Earth, or I can say what hard. Getting it? So, a rigid segment of lithosphere which floats and moves on the plastic asthenosphere that is called plates. So, plates, if I talk about plates, the plates are actually demarcated on the basis of tectonic activity. So, where is tectonic activity taking place in the case of plate? Tectonic activity is taking place at the boundaries of the plate. So, what is actually plate tectonic theory? Plate tectonic theory is actually the study of plate boundaries. That is how you have to connect it. Plates, tectonic activity. Tectonic activity happens where? At the boundaries. So what is plate tectonic theory? Plate tectonic theory is regarding the study of plate boundaries. You classify plate boundaries into how many types? How many types? 3 types: converging boundary, diverging boundary, and transverse boundary. Converging boundary divided into 2: converging, colliding, and converging destructive. What is converging, colliding? Continent convergence. What is converging destructive? Continent oceanic and oceanic convergence. What is the difference you see there? You have the denser oceanic crust undergoing subduction, right? The denser oceanic crust undergoing subduction. So you have like what in case of converging destructive as well as oceanic continent as well as oceanic. You give examples of mid-continental belt and circum-Pacific belt. Diverging boundary to 2 types: oceanic divergence and continent divergence, right? Continent divergence example. What is example for continent divergence? I'm talking about Africa and Arabia. Africa and Arabia diverging, you have Red Sea in between. Red Sea flows in Rift Valley. I hope you are aware of all this. Then you have like oceanic divergence. Oceanic divergence results in the formation of ridges. For example, Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Then transverse boundary, conservative boundary, parallel boundary. You can give the example of transverse tensional stress. Example is, what is the example? Yeah, you have something like what? California Peninsula and North America. North America versus California Peninsula. Okay. And very importantly, what you have to write is you have to mention about you have to mention about the the forces responsible for the plate movement. What is the force responsible for the plate movement? It is thermal convective current. So thermal convective current, how is it current formed? It is due to the outcome of accumulation of heat, right? Accumulation of heat through radioactive disintegration. So thermal convective current originated where the mantle core boundary. I have actually posted a diagram in your Telegram group. You can actually draw that particular diagram. The diagram shows thermal convective current. The diagram shows convergent boundary as well as divergent boundary. Please note that plate tectonic has not been asked so far. Continent drift has been asked. So there is a probability for plate tectonic. Okay, because all other parts has been asked in geomorphology. Plate tectonics is something which has not been asked yet. So some question related to plate tectonic you can expect this year. Okay. Now, if I talk about then what is the next part of the question?
Formation of Himalayas.
Formation of Himalayas. How can you write formation of Himalayas? It is Himalayas are the formation of converging colliding boundary between two plates. Which are the two plates? Indian plate and Eurasian plate. Okay, so that you can explain it with the help of a diagram. Then formation of Deccan Trap. How is Deccan Trap formed?
Hotspot. While
Hotspot.
passing
Which
through a
hotspot?
hotspot.
Yeah, which hotspot?
Forgot the name.
Reunion hotspot.
Reunion.
Okay, reunion hotspot. When Indian plate was moving over reunion hotspot, it underwent what? Transform fault. So what happens? You have the magma ejection, and that is how Deccan Trap is formed. You can actually show that diagram, draw a map of India and show Deccan Trap region. What is Deccan Trap region? Maharashtra, Karnataka plateau, Maharashtra plateau, Malwa Bundelkhand, Kathiawar. This is actually what? Deccan Trap region. Deccan Trap belong to which age? Cenozoic. Deccan Trap belong to Cenozoic age. Himalaya belong to which age? Again Cenozoic. Okay, when Himalayas were forming in Jammu and Kashmir, it was basically like what peninsular India was undergoing what is called transform fault. Okay, that transform fault, that means what? You are moving in the same direction but at the differential rate. So this transform fault result in fault. This fault means breaks. Through these breaks, what happens? Magma started coming out. That is how you have the Deccan Trap forming. So Indian plate was moving over the reunion hotspot. So three part of the question should be addressed. Getting it? Yes or no? You have to address the three parts separately. Done?
Yes, sir.
Fine? Okay. What is the next question?
Sir, I have one doubt, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, all these things are GS students also supposed to know, or the ages, the reunion hotspot and the other ages, Cenozoic ages and all you're talking about?
Reunion hotspot, GS, you have to mention reunion hotspot. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Cenozoic, you can mention it like young, no issues. 70 million years ago. You don't have to use the technical term Cenozoic, but Cenozoic, it's there in all NCERT textbooks.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so 70 million years ago, Cenozoic, you can mention it. This is, I'm only talking what from the perspective of GS. If the same answer is written in optional, you will be actually writing in different way.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. What is the next?
Hello,
question?
sir. Sir.
Yeah. Yeah, tell me.
Sir, one doubt, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, this Deccan Traps were formed as when the plates were moving, no? Indo-Australian plate. So it is in Mesozoic era, no?
No, it is actually at the end of Mesozoic, starting of Cenozoic.
Okay,
So
sir.
you can take it as a young feature.
Sir, while drawing this map, I'm only, an estimate I am drawing the Deccan Trap area. So that is okay, no?
That's fine. No issues. But you have to mention this Karnataka, Maharashtra plateau, Malwa, Bundelkhand, and Kathiawar.
Yeah, okay.
This is actually Deccan Trap region.
Yeah, just mention it separately and draw a rough
Yeah,
map.
fine. That's fine. That's fine. What is the next question? What is the next question, please?
What are the characteristics of landscape being developed by a river in various stages? How do these impact socio-economic life of people?
Okay. So please note that exogenic, this is, I've actually put one question from endogenic, one question from exogenic. Okay. Exogenic part also never asked till now. So there is a possibility you may get question from exogenic, and mostly it will be river only. You won't have to get into details of all other exogenic agents. Mostly river only. Now tell me what is, yeah. Introduction.
Yeah, so
What introduction you will write?
like I just generally wrote the question itself. Like there are river passes through various courses and
Okay.
develops
You have to
landscapes
introduce. You have to
by
introduce by explaining running water as a geomorphic agent. Getting it? Okay. So river is a universal agent of gradation. Okay, river is a universal agent of gradation which changes the landscape according to its various stages. Now, if I talk about like what are the different factors which influences the development of river landscape? You have the velocity of the water, the slope of the surface, the gravity force, etc. I have so many factors. Now, based on these factors, running water has been classified into 3 stages. Running water has been classified into 3 stages: young stage, mature stage, and old stage. Right? What are the characteristics of landscape being developed by the river in various stages? Am I audible?
yes,
Yes, okay. So young stage, tell me what is there in young stage?
waterfalls, rapids,
What is actually young stage?
like vertical erosion will be
Yeah,
more.
you actually take it like a, you can actually compare it with the life of a human being. Young stage, what happens is what more energy will be there. If I start moving towards old stage, the energy will actually reduces. Same way, river, young stage, mature stage, old stage, velocity will be high in the case of young stage. Velocity decreases in mature stage. Velocity will be very less in old stage. So what happens is, if I am a river, if I am actually flowing with very high velocity, I'll be more engaged in erosion process. Erosion process in the sense I'll be more engaged in vertical erosion. Getting it? So what I'll be doing is, if I as a river, if I'm not able to carry the sediments along with me, what I'll do, I'll deposit and leave. Yes or no? So that means if my velocity is very less, I won't be carrying all the sediments along with me. So my what I'll be actually depositing the sediments there, and I'll be leaving. So all the depositional features will go towards what? Old
Old
stage.
stage.
So you have to write about the velocity difference first: young stage, mature stage, and old stage. In young stage, river engaged in vertical erosion. So you have like what are the landforms? I can talk about like what V-shaped valleys, I-shaped valleys. I can talk about waterfalls, rapids, etc. Three or four like what landscapes. That is fine. You don't have to write everything. Okay. Mature stage. If I talk about mature stage, in the middle stage, what happens is river is more engaged in which erosion? Lateral erosion, horizontal erosion. For young stage, vertical erosion; mature stage, lateral erosion. Okay, you are actually reducing the height of the mountain. So which are the important landscape formed in mature stage? I'm talking about like what? Meanders. Okay, meanders can be, you can attach with young stage also. You have different stages for meanders. So some textbooks actually give it in young stage, some textbooks give it in mature stage. You can give it in mature stage, no issues. Okay, then you have like alluvial fans, alluvial cones, etc. Okay, so that what you can see it in mature stage. And if I talk about like what old stage meander become what? Oxbow lake.
Oxbox legs.
Yeah, then you have something like deltas. Delta is the most important feature of old stage. Okay, this is what you have to write, which
Yes,
is
sir.
the landform left by the river in different stages. Now you have another part of the question: how these landform impact socio-economic life of the people living in these areas. You can generate a number of points. You can talk about irrigation, you can talk about tourism industry, you can talk about inland fisheries. If I talk about deltas, about oxbow lakes, they contribute to inland fisheries. If you talk about landscapes like waterfall, rapids, they attract a tourist, also
Sir,
giving local employment.
sir, can we add
Irri-
negative impacts also?
Negative impacts also you can add. If you talk about the unsustainable exploitation of the water bodies actually degrade the environment, you can add negative impacts, no issues.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Then irrigation
Okay.
also you can write. Okay. So,
The
and you have to write it.
hydropower.
Sorry.
Hydropower.
Yeah, hydel power, whatever. You can generate a number of points.
So can we place
Now you have to.
temporary islands in
Sorry.
old? Can we place temporary islands in old phase?
Temporary islands, it's like you can temporary islands. I'm talking about, and we actually call it as anastomostic channel. Okay, you have temporary islands in the sense river actually deposit the sediments along with its channel. Okay, so river is actually blocking its own channel. Okay, so it is actually a deposition. Deposition actually comes in old phase. Okay, there is
No need to
nothing like
mention
temporary islands. Okay, you don't have a term called temporary islands. Okay, yeah. You can actually talk about, like, instead of temporary island, that is not the term, that is not the right term. You can use the term like braided channels. Okay, braided channels. So that means the river is actually depositing what? The islands of sand, gravels, pebbles that is formed due to this braided channel. So braided channel is actually one of the feature of old stage. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Then-
Can you please give a few options on the old stage, like the socioeconomic impact on the latest stage?
No, you don't have to write like each stage wise socioeconomic. Socioeconomic, you can write it like it what under one single heading. You can write it like tourism industry. You give like subheading. You explain it like what landscapes like waterfall, rapids attract tourists. That actually helps in generating local employment. That is positive. But the other side is unsustainable exploitation of these water bodies actually degrade the environment also. Now, if I talk about inland fisheries, you have deltas, braided channels, they actually contribute to inland fisheries. Again, source of income for fishermen, employability, etc. Irrigation, like that, you can explain it. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Then you can write a conclusion. Conclusion in the sense, the running water actually what give rise to various landscapes in various stages, but we need to actually utilize this landscape in a very sustainable manner. Okay, something like that. Some positive conclusion you can write.
Okay, sir.
Utilization of this landscape in a sustainable way. Such type of conclusion you can write.
Okay.
Done.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I have actually, these are actually two important areas you can expect questions. One is from endogenic. Other questions from geomorphology you can expect is related to volcanism and earthquake. Okay, volcanic landform features and earthquake also. Volcanic landform features means I'm talking about intrinsic volcanic landform features, extrinsic volcanic landform features. That can be a question. Okay, so intrinsic, I'm talking about like concordant, discordant features, sill, dike, lacolith, locolith, and phacolith. Extrinsic volcanic feature, I'm talking about lava plateaus. Then what else? Volcanic cones. You can give examples for cones. Okay, so this volcanic landform feature is can be a probable question. Volcanism related with plate tectonic can be a probable question. Volcanism related to plate tectonic means converging, colliding have volcanism, but other will have volcanism. So plate tectonic, you get what? If you know the logic behind plate tectonic, you can answer any question.
If I ask you about the extrusive volcanism, do we have to mention each and every type of forms?
It depends on the question. If the question is a 15 marks, it's better to mention like each and every type of cones. You have like acidic cone, basic cone, cinder cone, parasitic cone, and composite cone. Okay, if the question is for 10 marks, you have to just mention it. Don't need to explain it. It depends on the question. It depends on how many marks, nature of the question. Is that okay?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah, right. What is the next question? Now moving to environment biogeography. What is the next question?
Give an account of distribution of grassland across the world and their ecological utility.
Yeah, right. Yesterday I have given you a grid, right? Climatic grid.
Yes, sir.
So similar biome grid, I hope you are aware of. Are you aware of the biome grid? This was the grid we constructed yesterday, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Give me a second. Give me a second. So like climate, you may get question related to what biome also. Any of this, the grassland was the question here. Any of this can be a question. Here you have equator. 1 second. I don't know what's okay. So you talk about can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is equatorial rainforest, right? Equatorial rainforest. Then what is this? 0, 10 to 30. This is desert. This is savanna. This is tropical deciduous, mixed deciduous, temperate deciduous, grassland, temperate deciduous, desert, sclerophyll, Mediterranean, taiga, tundra, no biome. I hope you are aware of this. Similar grid you have it for soil. I'll post that grid in the group. Okay. So you have a climatic grid, a soil grid, and a biome grid. So if you study it in this way, examiner gives you any question, you can actually interrelate. Okay, this part of the world, they have this type of soil. This is actually the what vegetative climate, and that is the reason you can see this type of biome here. So that kind of study is actually important. Fine. Now see here, I'm talking about the question is about grasslands, right? So here grasslands, how many types of grasslands we have? This is temperate grassland, this is tropical grasslands, right? Tropical grasslands, savanna. Now tell me tropical grassland, savanna. What all things you will write? For savanna, you can say it is actually a transition biome between deciduous to desert, transition. Then where you can see African grasslands, you have
African
savanna.
continent.
Then Llanos, Llanos. Then
Yes.
Campos,
Weld. Pampas.
Arbor, Carpentaria. This is in Venezuela, Colombia. This is in Brazil. This is both in Australia. Draw the map of world and show these grasslands. South America has got
Okay.
many unique geographical features. Okay. If we talk about grasslands or any other things, swampy regions. So we have like Llanos, Campos, Nullarbor, Carpentaria. Then you write about like what the characteristics of what? The savanna, that is tropical grasslands. Now coming to this grassland, temperate grasslands. Temperate grasslands are classified into what? Two types, which are they?
Steppes and prairies. Steppe and
Subhumid region and semi-arid region. Subhumid region, you can see tall grasses. Semi-arid region, you can see short grasses. Tall grasses are called what? Prairies. Short grasses are called what? Steppes. Tall means 40 to 60 centimeter. Short means 10 to 20 centimeter. But if I talk about savanna, savanna is actually taller. Taller means what I'm talking about, like what, 1 to 2 meters of height. Okay. Or 2 to 3 meters of height. You have height of what, savanna. Here it is temperate, subhumid, semi-arid. Tall grasses, short grasses. Prairies, steppes. Prairies examples, tell me. Pampas, Argentina. Then Entre Uruguay.
Canterbury.
Canterbury Plains, Australia, New Zealand. What about steppes example? North American grasslands. Then
Well.
Eurasian steppes, Veld Downs. Again, draw map of world and show this. Drawing map of world and showing this is very important. Trust me, you will get 1 mark extra for drawing the map.
Sir, in 2 distinct maps for temperate and
One
tropical?
map is
map.
fine. Yeah, 1 map is fine. Okay, definitely if you draw the world map, 1 mark extra you'll get. Then you talk about like what the different characteristics. So that is the grassland across the world. Then what was the subpart? One more, ecological utility of grasslands. That you can write it, right? Ecological utility. What? Livelihood of the people, grasslands and livestock. Then grasslands and greenhouse gases. Grasslands can potentially offset a major proportion of global emission of greenhouse gases. Then grasslands for biodiverse ecosystem. Then they actually they also give important services, including like what cultural and recreational needs, water catchment, biodiversity reserves. Getting it? So you write a conclusion, talking about the need for protecting these grasslands.
So can we call this an ecotone and like say about edge species?
Ecotone is actually what? Ecotone is spatial transition, right?
Okay. So
Yeah.
this
So
is like a transition.
yeah, but not all places you can see ecotones. Not all places grasslands are called ecotones. Savanna can be considered as an ecotone, because what happens is like here you have like green, then savanna, then desert. So towards savanna, towards desert, you have dry. Savanna towards monsoonal. Okay, or tropical deciduous, you have actually trees. So savanna has got what? Savanna is called what? You can see what you see in savanna. If you go to savanna, you can see what? You can see wildlife. Okay, safari world. Safari world, what you will see? That is, you can see wildlife there. Why savanna has got so many wildlife? Because every heterotroph has got something to support their life. Savanna has got bushes, savanna has got grasses, savanna has got trees, savanna has got open surface. Getting it? So every heterotroph has something to support their life in savanna. That is the reason. That is actually, we actually call it as like what is actually equatorial climate, equatorial rainforest. Equatorial rainforest, you can see what it is actually phototrophs. You can see denser phototrophs. They are called a dark gloomy forest because you can see what phototrophs are thickly packed in what equatorial rainforest. Okay, what is equatorial rainforest for phototrophs? That is actually savanna for what? Wildlife. Because every wildlife has something to, it is the richest of for heterotrophs. Highest diversity of animals can be seen in savanna. The reason is every heterotroph has got something to support their life. It has got grasses, it has got bamboos, it has got open surface, it has got bushes. So everything is there. Okay. So in the conclusion, what you can write is you can mention about the need for what? Need for protecting this grassland, something like that. That can be a best conclusion. So understand this particular grid. If you study this particular grid, you can answer some questions. Okay, you don't need to by heart anything here. Similar grid is there for soil. I'll post that grid in the group, or if you have any of you have attended my class, if you can post it in the group, it's good. Okay, PCM students are there, if you can post it. Then it is, now you can actually what? You can actually relate it. Okay, this part of climate, this is the soil, this is the biome, this is the climate, and that is the reason I have such type of heterotrophs and phototrophs seeing there. So such interrelated study is very important. Okay, is that okay? Then in environment biogeography, what you have to study is you have to study about soil. Okay, that is important. Then study about like soil erosion, deforestation, such type of questions. Okay, sand mining, etc. I have given a question on sand mining. The ecological impacts of excessive sand mining far outweighs the economic benefit. Discuss. It was a 10 marks question. Can you give me the structure of the answer? Introduction, you talk about, mention about sand mining in brief. Okay, then sand mining, you can talk about, or you can give some statistics, etc. Whatever you want. Current affairs perspective, you can start, otherwise also you can start. Then the utility of sand. Then you can actually talk about like what economic benefits of sand mining. Then you talk about ecological impact of sand mining. Then a way forward. Way forward in the sense how you have to actually what for the solution for what this impact is there. You have written impact, right? So you have to write solution. Okay. So if I talk about so given introduction, then you talk about economic benefits. Economic benefits means what? Sand is actually a source of silica. Okay, you can what for optical glasses and all, sodium silicate, for making sodium silicate. The sand is an ingredient in plaster, concrete, etc., making reinforced concrete. Then sand in actually river channel or floodplains is a raw material for what? Raw material for construction industry, something like that. Some economic benefits you write. Then ecological impact. Ecological impact, you can actually talk about like what, how it is affecting marine biodiversity, how it is affecting the coastal impact, the impact on the climate. Getting it? So impact on what landscape, like coastal erosion, pollution of the river. Getting it? So you can give more ecological impact, and you write a conclusion. Okay, what should be the policies? What should be our what methods? What should be our what we have to do for protecting, or I can say like what the impact, reducing the ecological impact of sand mining. That can be a conclusion. Yeah.
Sir, can I ask a doubt?
Yeah.
Sir, in this particular area, it is overlapping with GS3, no?
Hmm.
So while we are writing the answer, how can we make it, sound more like a geography answer?
Sand mining, it's like you can actually talk about the important locations in our country or recent case studies related to sand mining.
Okay.
Okay, important locations where sand mining is more prominent, some case studies, some examples, etc. Even you can draw a map of India, show like what important, like what the locations which has been there in the news with respect to what these particular issue.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
sir.
So it is basically including the diagrams, maps, including the case studies example. You can make it more like what, more geographical. Okay. So answer while writing what the GS1 geography answer, always think that you have to make it a bit geographical. Getting it? So for making it geographical, just include the terms. Okay, geographical terms. It's always better like what you can do is for IR, international relations, what you will do is you'll be actually studying so many terms related to international relations, right? Similar, some geographical terms are there, very simple geographical terms, and not talking about very complicated terms. Okay, you can talk about like environment, what biodiversity. You have certain geographical terms that will actually make your answer like seems like a geography answer. Okay, so physical geography of world is done. Oceanography, climatology, geomorphology, environment and biogeography. What is left out in environment biogeography is I'll actually post the soil part. Okay, or someone can someone post that soil part, the notes of soil, the soil grid. Okay, fine, thank you.
I'll post.
Yeah, fine. Okay, you can post it then. That's it regarding world physical. Then what I'll do is similarly, we have like 2 sessions. One session on physical geography on India and one session on resource geography. Okay, 2 more sessions is needed. that I'll request Shinas sir to schedule the session according to your MTS schedule. Okay, we'll have 2 more sessions. One is on physical geography of India, talking about all the physical aspects like what mountains, plateaus, plains of our country, and also the climate of our country, the most important part with respect to like the monsoon as well as the El Nino, La Nina, Indian Ocean dipole. Okay, these are actually some areas where UPSC repeatedly asks questions. Indian monsoon is a favorite topic of UPSC. Indian Ocean dipole is there. El Nino, La Nina is there. El Nino, La Nina connected with Indian Ocean dipole. Okay, then we have like then Indian biomes also. Then we'll talk about more into resource geography. Resource in the sense it's basically resource, industries, and settlement. These are the 3 important areas examiner repeatedly asks questions. Okay, resource geography, you don't have to actually go with the world. It is with respect to India. And more what we have some logic associated with resources. Don't study like each and every location of resources, each and every location of industry. That kind of study is very, that is not required also, because you have to invest more time on that. That is not going to give you more dividend. So what I can do is like, I'll give you like how to approach that particular topic, the resources as well as industries. Okay, you can study something and this can be applied to all the questions. Okay, something like that is there. And you can actually study about like how the resources are actually distributed all over the country. If you can understand that, then examiner gives you any questions, you can actually apply logic and write answers. Okay, so that kind of approach you need to take on. Otherwise, studying each and every location of all the industries, all the resources, that itself take another 6 months. So that is not possible. That is not a smart way of doing it. Okay, you don't have to do it also. So that is one thing. And also settlement is very important. Settlement in the sense I'm talking about like urbanization, slums, okay, all the related steps. So that also we'll have some discussion on that. Okay.
Sir, we just have to revise the 2 NCRTs for Indian geography, right? Like for basic
Indian
content.
geography, basic content. The thing is like you studied for the prelims, you don't have to remember each and everything for mains. Okay, that's actual details. You don't have to remember each and everything. For example, Indian physical geography, if you are studying, you know that it is like mountains, plateaus, plains, and what islands. So have an understanding regarding the formation of mountains, plateaus. So that kind of very logical, analytical study is required. You don't have to remember each and everything. No, that kind of study is not required for mains. It is basically you should have an overall logical understanding so that examiner gives you any question, you'll be able to answer it. And also resources also. Energy and mineral resources majorly, but water resources is a favorite topic of UPSC. Okay, water resource management, whether it can be watershed management, it can be command area development, any of this can be a question. So there are certain topics like repeatedly asked questions. Okay, so that you have to do it very logically, so that it won't be like what painful for you. You'll be able to remember it very easily. So we'll have 2 more sessions like what we had in the last 2 days. Okay, so in between the other sessions, I'll request Shinasa to schedule the session. Any questions you have? If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we can wind up the session. So shall I wind up the session? Give me yes or no. Give me an answer, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.